take a few minutes to brainstorm this. So I'm not necessarily going to frame this as what you would want in a marriage, because not everyone necessarily wants to move towards marriage. But if you were going to make a long-term commitment with a romantic partner, whether that was marriage, you're buying your first house, choosing to get a pet together that's going to live for 15 years, whatever that commitment might be, what are 5 things you would want to know about that person that would help you feel confident that you were making a good choice to sort of partner yourself with them? So take a second to think about it individually, and then I'm going to get some answers from you and write those on the board for today. So 60 seconds, brainstorm your 5 areas. All right, with 60 seconds to think, you've got an answer you were passionate about from the beginning. What would you want to know?
It came right to my head because it's just something that irritates me. How they clean.
Okay, so cleanliness habits.
Because half the time I gotta redo it anyway. Yeah. So just like
Okay.
don't touch it. Don't.
I recently learned the term weaponized incompetence. Have you heard this phrase? It's the idea that people will like, oh, I'm not good at that, so that other people have to cover it for them. We're not talking about that more today, but it's an interesting idea. Yeah, Savannah?
I immediately thought about like what their childhood was like, because like
Okay.
I feel like that tells you the most about like the things they went through. If you're planning on having kids, what
Yeah.
kind of life you're looking at for them, and also like, what his family's like, because like his family,
Okay.
their family is going to be your family.
Yeah, so childhood history / family dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Lots of information that would be helpful there. Yeah, Caitlin?
We talked about whether or not they want to have children and how they're going to treat their children.
Okay. So family planning and parenting. Caitlin, did you have something as well? Okay. Yeah, sort of money management. Certainly an important thing and something couples fight about all the time. So helpful to know about. Yeah.
Kind of depending on like when you meet, but like his future goals, like whether it's past college or like
Yeah.
without a job, you know, where just like knowing that they want to get somewhere in life, not just screw around.
Yeah. What are their aspirations?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Are they on a certain trajectory? Great thought. Yeah.
This kind of falls into like where they want to be location-wise. Like if
Okay.
they want to move around a lot, if they want to stay in one place.
Location can be particularly tough to navigate if you're trying to figure out which family to be close to, or if you want to be close to a family.
We said like religion and political views, and like that kind of tie into the family planning, because if you're wanting to raise your kids different on like different ends of the spectrum, that would kind of.
Yeah. So religion and politics. Sort of, I'm going to put beliefs out beside that as sort of a catch-all category for that. Yeah. Any other thoughts about things you might really want to know before you would feel confident tying yourself to a person? Yeah.
Kind of like a disaster plan, like if we both
Okay.
have jobs, like what's the
Yeah.
next step?
Okay. So I'm going to write disaster / crisis. Is this a person that you feel like you could navigate those sort of things with? Okay. Great thoughts and things that are really helpful for partners to know about each other. These are the 4 horsemen. This is a lot of Gottman's work, and some of his earlier studies have indicated that the way in which he and his research team have tracked these things in his love lab, they can often predict divorce within 5 years with 90% accuracy. So they really take a toll in a relationship. But thinking back to the definitions of sort of equifinality and equipotentiality that I shared a couple classes ago, these are trajectory setting. They are not sort of destiny for a relationship. All right, so I'm going to go through sort of examples that indicate, from an assessment I found online, that you might be tipping towards the use of one of these horsemen in a relationship. You might not be in a romantic relationship as you're thinking about these, and that's okay. If that's the case, I want you to think about the person that you just feel most comfortable with. So the person that is going to consistently get kind of the authentic version of you as I'm asking you these questions. Just some self-reflection. I'm not going to ask you to share which of the horsemen that you practice or tip to, but just to think about it for a second together, we'll walk through these. So looking at these 4 questions, strict yes or no in response to each of these things internally. So in a discussion, I make general points instead of being specific about one action. I only bring up problems if I know I'm right. In a disagreement, it's important to me to determine whose fault it was. And when complaining, I say things like you always or you never. Okay? So if you said yes to some of those, and it would be natural for all of us to say yes to some of each of these on every slide, that's a good example of criticism. Movie? Pitch Perfect. So you think about, I can't think of her name, but Anna Camp's character in Pitch Perfect, often criticizing others, right? Being hypercritical of the performance of the other people on the Bellas, is that right? Perfect, nailed it. So this is different from complaints because it's focused on the other person's character. So those just like Gottman was just sharing in that clip, when you use phrases like you always or you never, you've now made it personal. Because it's not about the thing you're upset about, it's about the other person's personality that you've taken offense with. So here's sort of an example, right? I was really hoping you could pick up those groceries. I was really, hoping we could have those tonight. Could you let me know if you're running late next time? That's a complaint. That's totally fair game. You forgot them again, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You always do this because you just think about yourself. You've issued the same complaint, but this one is not going to get, that's not the opening comment in a conversation that's going to go well, right? So a lot of this is about thinking about the outcomes that you want and then approaching your partner with kind of your best chance of getting those. Okay, yes or no? My person that I'm thinking of, they can be pretty stubborn, smug, or arrogant at times. In arguments, I might be sarcastic or call them names. It's hard for me to see their point of view when I don't agree. And they get their feelings hurt way too easily. So, if you said yes to some of these, which horsemen do you imagine these are connected with? Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Your 4 options. What do you think this is? This one is contempt. Yes. So, this is the movie that I'll be shocked if you get, but so proud if you do. Any? Ghostbusters 2, 1989. Okay. So, contempt is a larger offense than criticism because it indicates a shift that you're starting to really look down on the other person a bit and not take them as seriously as you take yourself. You've started to be dismissive of their comments. Often it gets sort of paired with whatever your sort of chosen physiological gesture for dismissal is. So if it's an eye roll or a shrug or that thing that someone does that when you just see them do it, it just drives you nuts. That's often what triggers sort of an entry point into a contemptuous person. You heard him mocking in that clip. You're basically, this is a really dumbed down way to think about this, but you're kind of being mean at this point. It's gotten into a position where you're just not being very kind to each other.
Okay, I'm just curious if you have a response to this, but for stonewalling, I'm just thinking about personal experience when I've been in arguments, and I'm like, yes, there are definitely points where I'm like, okay, I need to stop talking to you, take a break, but how do you do that healthily when normally if you need a break, the other person is not ready for a break yet because they're angry.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Then, they might want a break, but maybe I want to keep talking about it.
You're asking what I would recommend in a situation like that?
Yeah. To that because I feel like it's hard if you're arguing with someone to be on the same page about what you want to do and shit.
Yeah. So here's part of what I think can make addressing stonewalling work. Is if you have a conversation in a relationship like that around what the process is going to look like when you take a timeout, it dispels the mystery. So part of what makes you're describing no, you're not done fighting here. We're going to talk about this. Part of that, I would imagine, for people is often motivated by a fear of if we don't figure this out right now, it's gone. We're not coming back to it. So for the person who calls for that kind of timeout or takes a step back, I always tell the person in the relationship, you then have to be the person to bring it back. And if you're not ready, you have to say that to your partner. Say, hey, I know I said we'd talk about it later tonight. I'm still thinking about it. Can we do this tomorrow? So that to me is what helps because it is really tough if one person's just like, nope, we're done here. That's stonewalling. But if you're saying I need time to get my thoughts and then we'll come back to this, that's a much healthier way to go about it.